Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And finally, because the interns are back in the office, we did get the skill preview earlier this morning. I did make a community post about it, and I think she's gonna look pretty good. So we have Water, yet another Water EX battle unit, which is a ridiculous number now because if we take a look, we have let's see. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Seven EX water battle units right now, and that is way more than any other current element, and that's just crazy. So we're gonna have eight. Sure, they love water and they love light. That's pretty much what we can take from the past couple months of this game. Is that water units, light units, give them to us. But she is on New Year's Blessing, Dragon Hakai, and Stern of Spirit, which does not have a real team yet. So I don't know how good of a choice that was. Let's check out Stern of Spirit really fast and just kind of see where that sits. Stern of Spirit. Okay. Albus, Rain, Raphael, Yom, other Raphael, but not Light Raphael, and then Dino and Daggerel. Okay, yeah, not what I would call a great team, but the other two teams definitely have a lot of options. Skill 1, 55 points, increases physical characters' ult damage by 80% for one turn, and all allies' crit damage by 40% for one turn. So there's a few things to unpack here. One, this is an 80-point ult damage buff with a secondary effect for 55 points. Guy, EX Guy, has an 80% buff with a guaranteed crit for physical allies. That's an 80-point skill, right? This is 80%, so 80%, 80%, and then guaranteed crit is, the other part versus 40% crit damage. So this requires you to have someone giving you crit. This gives only physical characters crit. So this is specific, but, the physical characters now are getting the ult damage buff. So I would not call Shinsha immediately bad because of that. In fact, I would call her pretty good because we have a number of physical characters to choose from. So people look at that, it's like, why is she better than Summer Lumi or something? It's like, because Summer Lumi only gives it to two characters, two elements, right? Physical is half of the game. I will take half the game over two elements. Dark and Fire are not teams that generally get buffed that often, sadly enough. It's generally Water and Light, right? So that's fine. And then crit damage, we have a number of people who can give crit now. The hero, Fire Millum, Protector Frey, this new Protector Shion. Like, there are options for getting crits out of people alongside Guy, even though Guy would be just doubling up on the ult damage and it wouldn't really do anything. But, there are options for you to take advantage of additional crit damage. The reason why Warrior's Mind Violet has been so good for so long is because she's got a pretty good skill. Ult resistance down by 55% and 40% physical crit damage, right? Violet is probably the closest thing you're going to get to this Shinsha right here. And this is an 80-point skill, right? This is a 55% ult resistance down and a 40% physical crit damage. This is an 80% ult damage and 40% crit damage. Like, and for, what, 15 points less? 50, 60, so 25 points less? Yeah, I think this Shinsha is power crept Violet. And Violet, while still being restricted to a physical team for her full potential, is still a fantastic unit for physical teams. And now we're going to get a cheaper version of her, essentially. So, no, this Shinsha is not overrated. I think she will be good. We'll still have to see the second skill, though, because they stopped giving us the cost, which would allow us to guess very easily what it would be. There is a very high potential that it is an alt swap ability to an orange, at least one, maybe two. I I thought it'd be funny if she had a triple orb steal like Shuna and Hinata. That would just make it hilariously interesting. If she was a triple orb steal and this buff, oof, that'd be a hard skip for a lot of people. I mean, if you don't have a physical team, then you don't really need Shinsha that much because you'd only be benefiting off this, and you could very easily pick up another alt buffer and call it a day. But I mean, she, she's looking pretty good. And as far as like what makes this Shinsha better than this Milim? Why did I not like this Milim at all, but I like this Shinsha when Milim has alt resistance down and synergy power? Well, it's complicated, but synergy is still a pretty limited use thing. It will see more and more units giving it in the future, but right now there's 3. And 2 months ago there was 1. So they're coming out, but synergy is still something that you may or may not have available to you, unfortunately. Because if you don't have the Christmas Shuna, I don't know when she's coming back, since she's a Christmas unit. And if you don't have the Protector Lumi from the 2nd anniversary, like it's going to be a hot minute until she returns, probably. This one right here. And so then you're limited to the new Xion. So synergy power, not quite as great as I wanted it. The alt resistance down definitely is good, but what really makes me not like this Milim is her future hand of oranges, because, you know, most people who have access are running Hinata, who already has the orange future hand. They do have different secondary effects, but you know, it still remains that, you know, if the devs knew that, you know, players who have this option are going to use that, then why would they double up the skill? That is a whale problem. That is not a new player problem. I understand that, you know, speaking of this level to a newer player who doesn't have Hinata is irrelevant, and Milim in a vacuum looks very good on this team. Personally, though, if you're going to ask me, I don't like Milim's second skill, which is why I don't like her. And it's all going to vary based on what Shinsha's second skill ends up being. Because if it is something stupid and useless, then I'm not going to like it as much. Because I can take that Milim and I can put her on other teams. I can take this Shinsha and I can put her on other teams. What's going to matter is, can this Milim, you know, do other things on a non-orange team when you have a skill that converts the entire hand to oranges, which most of the time are going to be nerfed. And most of the time, New Year's Blessings characters might not be on that team for this extra orb damage. So this skill is almost useless on any other team. If this Shinsha ends up being pretty useful on another team with the second skill, that gives her, I think, more value than the New Year's Milim. And that's why. That's why I think this Shinsha has a high ceiling to be better used in other scenarios than this Milim will. But you can certainly bring this Milim for her first skill, and that's it. And I can certainly bring this Shinsha for this first skill, and that's it. And in that, if that's what we're talking about, just their first skills, they're, I wouldn't say relatively interchangeable. They do have slightly, you know, less power, right? 40% 20 versus 80 and 40. Things are not built equal here. But that's my thoughts right here. I mean, this is the team as I would run it. It would be, you know, Shinsha right here, but Milim, Diablo. I might actually bring, because you can't hold Milim's buff, you also can't hold Shinsha's buff, right? The ult damage, it's one turn and that's it. You can hold the crit damage if you wanted, but 55 points is a lot to use. This Milim skill, you can't hold it. This Hinata skill, you can. So in reality, like, I might not even bring Milim. I might bring Fount of Wisdom Rimuru for all intents and purposes, because at least can hold the primary part of his buff. So we'll see. Again, I will not be live when this Shinsha comes out at 6. I'll be busy doing IRL things, so I will probably end up making it its own summon video, and I will post it probably the following day. I will still do a Should You Summon later tonight after we get her full kit and everything, but I will not be live tonight to summon on stream. Sorry, but got plans. Also, final note, if this Shinsha has a Magic Seal Valor change, or Valor trait, she's going to be really fucking broken for Valor Cup, alongside, you know, already how broken the current Valor Cup team is with this. Like if we can take out Fount of Wisdom Rimuru and we can put in Shinsha with an 80% ult damage and 40% crit damage versus the 65% physical damage right here, it's going to help Milim do a shit ton more damage probably. So if they give her a magic seal like this Rimuru, because that's what makes Rimuru pretty good for this team is the seal on turn 1. If she has that, people who like Valor Cup are gonna have to question their crystal stocks, right? But that's it for me, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you hope this second skill will be. Do you think Shinsha is as good as I'm talking her up to be? Or do you think that she is a skip? Let me know. But that's it for me. Take it easy, and I will see you all later.